Hey and welcome back to the channel. Toby's Stress goes to Toby. In today's video we will talk about, let me put on my shoulders really quick, the Lithova 12 volt 100 amp hour lithium iron phosphate battery. And this one, my friends, is similar to the Lithova battery, whoop up there, which I reviewed already, but it is smaller. So if you remember correct, the other battery, it was a G27 form factor. This one is a G24. Is that correct? Yeah. And they call it G24, but what I meant is Group 24, obviously. But this battery, in weights, there we go. This battery is from the form factor smaller than the other ones. Let me show you. So they claim it has grade A battery cells. It has a smart BMS. It does say it has a built-in smart 100 amp BMS. Adopts grade A cylindric LFP cells. This battery has 1280 watt-hour of energy, which you can use. And it is expandable, multiple batteries, like you can see in the picture. That's how they advertise it. You can use, and here we have a perfect example of the dimensions. And we can see the dimensions are smaller, and I want to show you later, especially in my case with overlanding, camping, and car stuff in the Jeep, can we place it somewhere where it's easier than the normal form factor Group 27? That's something I really want to figure out. Additionally, they say this battery is lighter, and to be honest, it is, but what I want to see is still the inside. Because what I haven't seen, unfortunately, does it have a cold temp cutoff? So when it's charging, you should not go below, 0 degree a lot, otherwise it might damage your cells. And it might degrade quicker. So I want to test if it has a cold temp cutoff. The reason is I haven't seen it in the description. I asked for a spec sheet this time. They were not able to provide a spec sheet, so we have to do those tests. I want to figure it out for you, because looking at the price, $219. So this one is definitely bigger than the Power Queen Mini or the Red Audio Mini. Still lithium iron phosphate. I want to see what the inside looks like. It is wider, but everything else it looks definitely, the housing just looks wider compared to the minis, but it has a lot of potential, especially when you're short on storage, short on space, as always when you're camping, and you want to, maybe add 1, 2, 3, or 4 of them and put it in a pack of 48 volt, or you want to have 400 amp hours, those kind of things. So will be interesting to see if there's a cold temp cutoff, same with the high temp cutoff, just to protect the cells and make it live longer. So those kind of things we have to figure out ourselves, since I haven't seen any spec sheets, sadly. They say it's similar to their Group 27 cell, but, oh, actually, sorry, I said 27 the whole time. Actually, it is a Group 31. So how do we continue? First of all, I'll charge this battery up to full and we'll do a capacity test. And afterwards, we'll take a look inside. So I'll open it up. We'll see what it looks like inside. I do like the smaller form factor in the meantime, because that is something I was desperately waiting for. I didn't understand, hey, we have all this development, but we have so much space in the cells with those Group 31 plastic housings. So it would be great to see this, and finally there it is. Not only the minis, it looks like we're going in the right direction to make it smaller and smaller and smaller. So if you can see it, the battery is overall shorter here on this side. In terms of width, I believe it is the same. So when I move it here, then we have, not completely, almost, but this should be a Group 31. This should be a Group 24. So you see a significant size difference. All right, here as always we see the setup. Battery is connected here to the smart shunt. The smart shunt is connected to an inverter, and the inverter is charging another battery to maintain the power. I don't like to waste it. I don't like to use the heaters like other ones did. So I try to maintain as much as possible, minus of course the efficiency or the inefficiency of the inverter. So let's start with everything. And here we are. So we do have a little bit more than the 0.2C test. which is a little bit more than 20 amps. It will ramp up to 25 later on. It will increase as well, depending on the voltage drop. So let's see how much we can get out of this battery, and I'll meet you there in a couple hours. All right, we just passed the 100 amp hour mark. All right, now it's just chopping and turning off, so I'll stop it here. But well, you can see we passed the 100 amp hours. So this unit did pass the capacity test, which is great to see. Barely, but it did. So no questions asked. That's great. And I think now we have the time. I'll recharge a little bit, that it's not all the way down there. And then we will take a look on the inside and where we possibly could use such a, in quotes, small form factor battery. Well, since the battery did pass the capacity test, it's above 100 amp hours. So we definitely, certainly can proceed with this battery and test it. I mean, I would have done it anyways, but my use case of this battery is a very simple one, I feel like, but it's also something which you might need as well. So here you can see we're on the back of my Jeep, and I have this platform built in here for me to sleep in. And this platform, right now you can see below here, there's some slide ins and whatnot. You have space underneath. You can see the left or the driver's side rear seat is folded down, so you can use it for storage, and on the right side that's the entire platform. And right now you see the battery placed right in the middle, but in theory this is my platform. That's where I can sleep. And I want to show you 2, maybe 3 spots where you can possibly install a battery and then route a wire to your entire equipment if you want to, or to your inverter or whatever you want to do. The first one will start here in the back because I think that's just the most simple one, and therefore I will fold up this section. This section is just that I can fold up this one. As you know, as a Jeep owner, you have this little pocket below, whoop, to lay down the battery. You can see then it's not closing anymore all the way. So this battery will not be able to just be stored in there laying like this. That's what we'll check when you take it apart. It has cylindric cells, so it shouldn't be a problem for laying it down. An option is laying it down and then you have your equipment here, or you route it through the car, wherever you have it, solar panel, whatever, to maybe the rear seat or whatever. That's the one option. You can take this foldable one out completely. That's of course always an option, and you can just move it around. I feel like this battery is definitely small enough. You could even get 2 of them next to each other, probably as well. In this orientation, I think it might have more issues, at least in my construction, because this is slightly higher than the frame itself, so it will not work for me at least. So let's move to another option. Standing here on the right side, the seat is folded down, right? So what you would do at the beginning is to store the battery first in there and have your wire attached, obviously. What I mean with exposes us with a lot of space. It's right there. In this gap, that's where you want to store it. Let me do this real quick. So now, when you have your wire, and that's what I meant with, I'm working with Anderson connectors because it's just so easy. Connect this one to your battery, I mean those 2 sides, and then you have the Anderson connector, which is sticking out either right or left, and you can and you connect everything you need to connect. And let me push back the platform, and now you have the battery stored right underneath here, which would be an empty space anyway for you maybe, or you would not use, or maybe just for your shoes, but your shoes still have space. Another option is on the other side, which means we're going to the driver's side. And then we have the third option. Since I'm not using this side for sleeping, we do have the option that we could store the battery right here in an orientation we like, or up here, really depending on what your packing situation looks like. And you could even have two of those little friends in here, because this one is for sure smaller, so you can have 2 or 4 of this, 24 or 48 volt, or maybe 200 or 400 amp hour, depending on you. But that's what I want to show you. With a platform like this works great. You always have the option, of course, also the passenger seat up in the foot area. That's also another option. I hope this gives you an idea how you can use it with a car when you're car camping. And of course, when you have a minivan or whatever, you have plenty of space. You just need long wires. In my case, I don't need long wires because I have the entire setup here up front in this rear section, on the rear seat section, because it's just simple and I have everything routed to here, basically coming out here on this little side, which means the solar panel is popping out here, my entire DC to DC charger is popping out here, so all those kind of things just popping up here, which I can use. All right, I think enough talk about my use case. Let's take it apart and see what's inside and what we can do with that. Alrighty, so this is the moment of truth. We'll open it up and we'll check it out what's inside. For me, it will take a couple minutes at least, but for you, it should be like a finger snap and that's it, but we're not there yet, so let's do it again. Finger snapping doesn't work, but we get it open. So, here we are. Ooh, that's a pretty strong chemical smell. So we'll start with the most obvious, if you ask me. And that's the terminals. The terminals have an epoxy around red and black. Then we have the M8 bolts, which holding pretty well, and it's also A2-70. They're long enough, and when we open it, then we can see the terminals here. We do have, so first of all, we have 4, in quotes, tiny wires. They look like 12 gauge wires. So here it's labeled on the negative side, it's 12 gauge wires, 4 of them. Same over here, 4 of them. Then we do have an hydraulic crimp on all ends, what I can see from here. Let me get you closer. There we are. So we do have an hydraulic crimp here, 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 and here. We do have silicon paste over here and here. So when it closes, the terminals are here. They're not touching anything. It looks like it first. I don't see any marks, so it's far enough away. So, and then everything else, we have the glue here on the sides, which I have to see if I can take it off. It's actually already off, so we might be able to just take it out. Let's see if I can just flip it. And if it comes out, I'll put some covers on here just to avoid anything what could happen. So let's see. Oh, it does work. That is so nice. That is so nice. I'm so happy this is working, but let's see. Oh, look at this. Alrighty. Let's turn it around. Cool. Alright. This is pretty massive, impressive. Let me turn it this way. Alright, I'll open it up here. The reason why I wanted to have this side, here we do have the BMS, and it is, we'll see if I can take off this high density foam. Those 2 wires here go to the terminal side. Those 2 and those 2 go to the main negative from the cells. On top, which you cannot see. There it is. This one. It's always 4 of those 12 gauge wires. They're labeled, it looks like, and all of this hydraulic crimp. They are tightened here with, I see it correct. They have a washer, split washer, and then this hex bolt head. We can see that here. This one, for example. Seem to be pretty tight. Anyways, the BMS, we have the heatsink. I try to get underneath later. The description and the picture shows those 4 cells. that's what we're having here. We have 3.2 volt cells, which is a 12 volt pack in total. But we do not have the cylindric cells, which I was expecting here. So that's kind of a news for me. The cells are oriented to the side. So what do I mean with that? This is top. Here, these are laying on the side. So they change the orientation already to make it fit in a smaller housing, which is great. All right, let's continue here on this side really quick when you're there already, because that's where all the connections are happening. Here's the main negative, here's the main positive. And then we have here bus bars in between connecting the cells. So what we can see here, we do have the main negative from the balance leads, which is soldered on. Hope you can see that. Same with those balance leads over here and here. But this one, yeah, everything is soldered on. What they've chosen to do, that's what I'm trying to see here, what they've chosen to do is they laser tag this, it looks like, onto the terminals of the battery with those brackets. So those brackets here for the main negative, for the main positive, but also the bus bars are laser tagged here, as well as here. Oh, laser welded, sorry, laser welded. So, and that's what it is. Oh, that's interesting. They have to extend the wire, balance lead, maybe. So that's what we can see. We can see the vents are freely accessible, so that's good. Most likely underneath we'll see some QR codes, so we'll try to capture that. But the bus bars, well, they don't expand or contract, they don't give that to the battery, which means the terminals might be under stress when the cells itself contract and expand. That's the only disadvantage of those bus bars, but it is what it is. It looks pretty good build so far. I'm happy to see that. Here on top, here the main positive, you can see those stranded wires from the 12 gauge wires into a big one. So that's what you can see, and then those are the cells. So let me flip it to the side. This is the orientation which you might think that's how to install the cells, and that's what we actually also did in the past. So what I would like to do is getting access underneath here. So it's interesting what I can see written on here. Let's try to understand. 3.2 volts, and it says 320 watt hour. That's what I see here. Okay, so they've just glued this high density foam on top of the balance leads. I want to make sure they're not under stress or anything. And the solders, yeah, I mean, from balance leads, they could be a little nicer, to be quite honest. Here, especially when you look at this one here up front, this one, and this one on top, they on accident, or they burnt a little sleeve as well, just a tiny little bit. Yeah, and then they have, what's nice to see, they have epoxy boards in between, but only, let me get you closer. They have it in between, but only if you can see here at the beginning on this side, but also here on this side, but there's nothing in between. So they have a little space for that part, which might not be bad because it can give, expand and contract, which is nice for the cell, I guess. That's not bad. But yeah, the cells look pretty good, I think. Then we try to get closer to the BMS. Here on top you see, that's probably where the label was, but unfortunately that label is not there anymore, so I cannot see it. At least the label is stuck to the top and I cannot read it. Those bolts here, they hold the BMS in place. So they, even though they have this board, they have glue and everything else, but they use those little screw-in plastic pieces here into the epoxy board here, which I do enjoy a lot. I assume they use glue as well. Yeah, there we go. Oh, wow. Yeah, nice. So those white little pieces, they use spacers. I'll have to keep them. Don't want to lose them. Looks like those are the temperature sensors. They're going down to, watch it, on this side, the cell, to one of the cells they glued into. So that's nice to see. Right there in those holes, they have, maybe you can see it here in the angle a little bit, they have some nuts or something. That's really nice. So that's why this can help in so solid. But I didn't see any name of it, so that's a bummer. Let me try to close this up really quick. I don't want to disassemble it completely because I like how they put it here together. It has some packing tape to hold everything in place. On the bottom, actually, you can see the epoxy boards go from one side to another, but it's just a thin piece. You hear our postman maybe singing. He's a nice guy. Anyways, I had to take this off because the counter nut, which is underneath here, you have to hold, otherwise it twists the whole time. So otherwise you're not being able to make progress. It will hold later, but it led me to the temperature switch, I would say. This looks like a temperature switch here. So this one says 65 degrees Celsius. If that's true, it's just for hot, but it comes with 2. So I'm wondering if they just stuck both to the same. So let's see. I'll connect everything back together and then I'll set up my charger as well, and we'll see if the charging does stop with the heat and with cold. Let me set it up. I've set up everything here on the side. The bench power supply at the moment at 0 because I haven't plugged it in and I haven't started it. I did connect the balance leads back up, and what you cannot see, but it's there. Here's one, the black wire. This one black wire goes to the bench power supply, to terminal, and positive to positive side. Some reading, because that will be important. And it shows 12.5, 12.6. Perfect. So we have something going on. Should be able to charge it. And there we are. So let's see. We'll do the first test. Will be heat. Here we have the heat sensor. It should trigger with 65 degree already. So it's not a lot. And you just saw it here dropping. That's it. Stop charging. Let's cool the switch down. So it should quickly begin to charge again. There we are. So we have it. It's charging again. Let me see if this also can be triggered with a cold. So far it doesn't look like. There's always the hope that it has a cold temp cutoff and a hot temp cutoff, but this one looks like not yet. It's always such a bummer. I mean, it seems to be so easy. Just connect another temp sensor, just one more wire. As I mentioned last time, I'm not using the, what is it called, the dust blast or something, which pushes out a lot of cold air. I'm not doing that because it would be way too much below 0 degree, which doesn't have an effect anymore because the battery might be damaged at that time when it reaches that cold temperature anyways. All right. Nope. Sadly not. That's the cold temp and high temp cutoff. We do have a high temp cutoff. That's good to see. It's one of those switches where you can see the 65 degrees Celsius on it anyways. So let me fiddle it in and tighten it back up. So we have it. I tested what I can test and we have it almost back together. I hope this gives you good insight in what to expect with this battery, since online is not a lot you can find. But at least here we can see it. We have the unfiltered truth underneath. I didn't take off this epoxy board, but everything seems to be glued here. So there you can see the cells again, as I mentioned, and also the other epoxy boards, which I like to see. Also this high density foam. The wires seem to be good and solid, crimped, connected, everything you would like to see. And the only thing what is a bummer, I wasn't able to see the BMS on this side. I don't know what it is. It looks familiar, but I don't want to say it is a JBD when it's not. Anyways, I do like the size of this battery, which is amazing. So when you look at this size, it is really, really great to see that. And let's see if I can just get it back in. Almost like new, except for this little scratch here I made, I'm sorry. So, as I mentioned, I like to reuse those batteries and try to open them as easy as possible. So, let me know in the comments what you think about this. I do like the size housing. It is amazing small form factor. It's not small as the minis, as you remember, but this one is getting into the right direction. And what I'm bummed about, and at the same time positively surprised, is online in the description it said it's cylindric cells, LFP cells, and then we open it up and it shows that it's prismatic cells, like the cells on the picture on Amazon. So they didn't lie, but please make sure that you correct at least the description, because that's what we would expect and would hope. All in all, passive capacity test, it has a nice size, and it's one of those batteries where I think it's great to have. Additionally, I would love to see this low temp cutoff, the bigger brother in terms of size. Battery surprised with cylindric cells, but also with Bluetooth and low temp cutoff. So remember that. That's what I'm missing here. But look at the price. I'm sorry, this is a really entry-level, friendly, low-budget battery, and then the size of battery, amazing. Safety first. I mean, I had it on the whole time, but I hope you enjoyed that video. I hope you now know more about this battery. Let me know what you think about it. Would you buy this battery with those cells, prismatic cells in this case, but no low temp cutoff? I'm really curious about your opinions about this. Thanks for watching. Cheers!